To begin with, I will present the hardware used in this project, followed by developed software, and finally a workflow of the project. So the hardware used was one Raspberry Pi 3 with a breadboard and 4 sensors: the humidity and temperature sensor, an LED light and push button, and a motion sensor. We also use 2 speakers connected to the Raspberry Pi and 4 Estimote beacons. Relatively to the software, we have 2 web services, one running the Raspberry Pi, another one will use it in the PC. And the interfaces, we have a mobile app for both Android and iOS, and a Telegram bot available both on PC and mobile phone. There is also available third-party interfaces such as the ThinkSpeak channel and Estimote Cloud. The last one needs authentication. Now I will present a workflow of the project using both software and hardware. Concerning the configuration, we have the configuration folder, which has all these 4 configuration files. And these files, each one is for one module. So for example, we have a bot configuration, which is used for the bot, the catalog configuration, the device configuration, and the home configuration. And all these files have the states and important data such as the catalog, endpoint. Each one of them has it. And for example, the catalog, the home configuration has the state of the house. The bot configuration has its ID, which was saved, and the catalog, and the device, all these sensors, the endpoint, the catalog endpoint. First of all, in order to use the platform, you need to launch the first web service and the main one. It's running, it's a Cherry Pi web service. Then we need to run the home bot, which is the Telegram bot, and it's running. And then using PuTTY, we run the device, the Raspberry Pi device. So what happened here is that the Raspberry Pi is communicating with the main web service, which is the catalog, and registered in the house. We can use the Telegram desktop app or the mobile app, and we can type, for example, help, to see all the commands that we can make through this app. To start with, we can type info, and we can see the state of the smart home. We can see the divisions and all the lights, the state of the lights, the beacons available, and all that. Returning to the help, we can also use this command, which is the set ID, in order to use the use of this app. For example, I can type devices to have the list of devices, and you can see that there is only one. I can copy the ID of the Raspberry Pi, then I can type set ID and paste the ID that I copied, and I can send it. And this ID will be used for the next commands, so I don't have to type the ID every time I call or I make some commands. So for example, I can see the list of devices. Now there's only one device, which was the one that we registered. And we can type resources to see the resources available for this device. We have 4. Then we can also make a reboot, and This serves to update the device's information and also the timestamp. So for example, if I type devices, we'll list the same device with the same ID. However, the timestamp is newer because I launched now. Okay, we can also add new devices. If we add another Raspberry Pi, we could add here the Raspberry. We can also update the house state. For example, we can add or remove divisions, add or remove lights, and update the light state. But that I will show it in the Ionic app, because that's a better interface for using or exploiting these commands. The Telegram bot, we can also use the panic function, and it tells us that the panic service started. This is a service which is listening an MQTT. So it's an MQTT subscriber for using the Raspberry Pi that I will later show. Okay, now what I can do with this is start using the Raspberry Pi. So for example, if I type resources, I misspelled it. Okay, resources, and it displayed the resources available. I can type res and the name of the resource, for example, the humidity sensor and humidity, and it tells me that this started. And I can go to the Raspberry Pi and I see that it's giving me already the temperature and the humidity. For example, if I call again the res the same command, it will stop it. Okay, but I will activate it again. And I can do this for every resource. For example, the motion sensor. And it started. And for the button sensor, and so it's all started, and we can see it in action. For example, the motion, when it detects movement, it activates the LED light. For example, if I do this, it will turn on the LED light. And also sends all the data to the ThinkSpeak, and I can show it later on the ThinkSpeak on the Ionic app. So now I can see that he already sent some temperature and humidity. And also it's telling me when it turns on and off the LED. All this information is going also to the ThinkSpeak. For example, now he's making the movement. But if I type here the motion sensor, it will tell me that it stopped. And now if I make some movement, it doesn't detect it. However, the button is still active and I can type it. And it gives me the panic alert, which was the service that I activated last. Every time I press this button, it sends by an MQTT message. So now I'm also receiving the notifications in the Telegram app in my phone. Another resource that we can use is the stereo. If I type stereo, the stereo starts and it's giving a music that was in the playlist, and we can stop it and it will stop. So here we can see the Ionic app. And this Ionic app has the home state, which I already showed in the Telegram bot. So for example, here we can see all the divisions, and we can add or remove a division, add or remove a light for each division. What this app does is the same thing as the Telegram bot for that command. It just updates the file with the home state configuration, which is the home configuration JSON. So here I have 3 divisions, and I can add a new division. And appears here, and then I can add a new light. And here it is. And then, for example, I can add a new light for an existing division. And I can delete a light, an already existing light. Type it. And then I can update the light states. So I can turn on or turn off each one of these lights. This is the controller, so it's the controller of the house. Next, we have another page which gives us the temperature of the house. It shows the average, the maximum, the minimum, and then we have a graph that's exploited directly from the ThinkSpeak channel, and it gives a live state of the channel. So if the sensors are running, we can see updating live this graph. It tells us for each date the measures and all the values. The same from the temperature to the humidity. It's the same thing. We have all the other measurements here. And then we have also the motion, which is related to the motion sensor showed in the Raspberry Pi. We have a list of the dates, the hour and the date of the movement, and all appears here. All these values, these 3 pages, these values are recorded in the ThinkSpeak channel. There are 3 fields, and we are getting all these values live from the ThinkSpeak channel. So another functionality of this Ionic app is exploiting the SmartHome beacon's proximity detection. So for example, I'm in the bathroom, but if I leave this division and go towards another division, for example the kitchen, it will tell us that we arrived to the kitchen, and you can dismiss. And then we can go towards another division, and it will tell us that we arrive towards another division, which is the living room. There is the SD mode. And if we go back towards the initial division that we were, it will tell us that we arrived to the bathroom, which is over here.